Thanks for the thumbs up. Here we go. Without further ado, our keynote speaker from the branding agency, LinkedIn's guru, Maureen Kane. Please give a warm welcome to our keynote speaker today.
Hi, everybody. What a great welcome. And thank you, Sean and Ian, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. And yet, I mean, my background's pretty similar to what you've said. I've actually been using LinkedIn for 20 years as a user, but I've been running a LinkedIn marketing agency, freelancing first of all, and then set up a limited company for 10 years, and mainly as helping small business owners, from self-employed individuals to companies with maybe up to 20 employees, to either help them use LinkedIn or help do it for them. And, you know, when I started 10 years ago working for myself, I was at an advantage to some degree because I had already been using it for LinkedIn, for lead gen, for my previous companies as a sales and marketing director. But when it comes to being self-employed, as I think quite a few of us are here, I think there's one thing selling for a corporate company and another thing selling for yourself. And LinkedIn really, if you are self-employed or a small business owner, can be a lifeline, a lifeblood to really making those connections, growing a personal brand, you know, creating awareness and buzz for your products and services, and of course, connections, events, and things like that. So it's a little bit different selling for yourself or selling your own services than selling for a company. And a lot of people really find that a little bit out of the comfort zone. And a lot of the people that I work with are quite new business owners who are just starting to do that, and it's quite difficult. But as Sean was saying, when we initially started speaking, we started talking about what's going on with LinkedIn right now. And I have got a few slides, but I'll try not to bore you with slides. But LinkedIn, I think the first thing to remember is a technical platform. It's a piece of software that's forever changing. So they are forever tweaking and doing live updates, which constantly change lots of things. There's always updates going on behind the scenes and quite often live. Every platform's got a different view. Some people have got different access to different features. And this can have an aspect to the views. So sometimes the views are a bit rubbish just because LinkedIn are tinkering with it. So no matter what you do to some degree, you can't always control the LinkedIn views. And a lot of people get very caught up in what the LinkedIn views are. And yes, it's a great number to look at and something that I look at over the years, but doesn't really mean everything. And my question to people always is, what is it you want from LinkedIn? Is it LinkedIn views? Because it's quite easy to get LinkedIn views if you want to be like Paris Hilton syndrome, they say. You know, if you want to start posting dancing dog, start singing in the shower, doing lots of different things, anybody can get LinkedIn views. But what do you want LinkedIn from? I mean, maybe if I can have a show of hands, who is a self-employed business owner here? Show of hands. And who is looking to generate business from LinkedIn? Just have a show of hands. So most people, some two people. So most people are looking to generate business from LinkedIn. So again, it's so easy to get really narrow-minded. And again, small business owners like myself as well, we've got so many things to juggle. LinkedIn is just one of those things. So if you're looking for sales, or if you're looking to grow your career or business opportunities, because again, you know, LinkedIn is a great platform if you are in an existing job or if you've got a side hustle to try and just become more of a thought leader. And again, that can create business opportunities even down the line. So not just about sales, but most people are looking in this arena, I believe, are looking to create sales and connections and, you know, brand awareness. So I think focus less on the views, because to some degree that is out of your control. There are things that you can control, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I mean, you can certainly control the quality of content you produce, so that people want to read it. It's so easy for people to get caught in a trap of doing the same kind of post week in, week out, and just creating an engine that becomes lifeless and soulless. You know, taking time to connect and engage with people and having a bit of a strategy. I mean, so many people have spent so much time as a business owner trying to work out LinkedIn rather than, and pay me for a strategy session or even pay someone to do it for you. And of course, not everybody can afford to pay somebody to do LinkedIn for them. But if you think about how much time that some people have paid or spent as a business owner to learn LinkedIn, bearing in mind it's constantly changing, maybe it's not the most kind of cost-effective thing to do to try and do it, because it is something that takes a while to get to work. And here's a couple of things that don't work, first of all, before I do talk about what could work. Doing the same old thing on LinkedIn day in, day out, posting the same content that you've been using for 5 years just doesn't work. LinkedIn's algorithm is very smart, forever changing. You really need to keep that passion going in your content. Falling out of love with LinkedIn. I mean, most people, again, marketing is a core part of our business as a small business. And if you fall out of love with your marketing, your business, it really shines through on your content. And it really shines through because most people say, oh, LinkedIn isn't working for me. But really, it's probably because you've got zero strategy, or maybe you've fallen out of love for a little bit with your business or your marketing and having zero plan in place. Because LinkedIn is working for many, many people. It is the biggest business platform in the world. A lot of other people also, because they think LinkedIn isn't working for them, they'll change their messaging every couple of months. Or they'll say that this isn't working. Let's change my tagline. Let's change my logo. Let's change my branding colors. And they do it every couple of months. And realistically, I mean, my background is in sales and marketing. Sales take longer than we all think. We'd all like to think the sales happen in a couple of weeks. Sometimes they do, but typically as a new business, it's going to take probably at least 3 to 6 months to get that brand awareness up and to start building that pipeline. Nobody wants to hear that, but that's the truth. And again, if your product's £1 million, it's probably going to be a lot longer than that. So sales cycle comes into it. But if you want to build up your brand, whether it's a personal, your business brand, you really need to have consistency in your messaging, and at least for 3 to 6 months, at least before you change it, because that's when people are really going to start to get to grips with who you are and what you do. So that's a big mistake that I see a lot of people doing, changing their messaging or changing the product they're offering all the time. And it really can just get confusing for lots and lots of people, if that makes sense. Now, I don't know if you want me to stop for questions or ask questions at the end.
If you could do the questions at the end, that would be great.
Okay. So I'm now going to just share some slides. And again, I'll try and, I've got 10 slides, but hopefully they won't bore you to death. But I can jump in and out to live LinkedIn as and when we need to, or at the end. So I've created just 10 simple slides on Canva. Can you all see the screen? Just get a thumbs up if you can see it. Yep, great. So Canva I used to, I'm a professional content creator, I can use Adobe, etc. But Canva is so easy. And once you've created a couple of templates, it's really, really great. So I've called it 10 ways to generate more demand, because as much as we all want sales potentially from LinkedIn, there's a few steps before getting those sales. Number one is getting people to get to know you. And if I'm working with a client, I'll say we need to work for 3 months at least. Month one is really all about increasing your visibility, because if nobody knows who you are, nobody's going to buy your product, number one, or nobody's going to have that conversation. So increasing your demand, I think, is a good way to go at it. So the first thing, which is a simple thing, is have a standout LinkedIn profile. So many people think their profile is a CV that's never changing. And I think I've got my profile here. Hopefully you can see. No, I won't bother showing. I'll show you then. But anyway, your LinkedIn profile to me is a landing page. It should really help you stand out with a really clear message that helps you be unique. In fact, let me just see if I can actually share my landing page. Can't move this bar at the top. New share. Anyway, for some reason, it won't let me change my page. But anyway, so I'll show you at the end. But you need to have a banner which really has your message clearly on it. It's really annoying me why I can't show you. So why can't I? Won't let me move my page. Aha. Can you see my page now? Can you see my LinkedIn page, anybody? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yep.
sorry about that. So yes, so basically a banner which clearly tells people what you do. And typically, you know, ask somebody a call to action. Your tagline, again, shouldn't say managing director at blah, 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 because somebody already knows that. This should be a short, snappy message, because every time that you like and comment on a post, or every time that you post, somebody is only going to see, I don't know how many characters, but it's about 7 or 8 words. So again, every time you post or like and comment, everybody's seeing what you do. So shorter the better. And the top message I always get taught in sales in general, say the best thing first, because nobody's going to probably scroll to the bottom of your profile unless they really get what you do. So my main service is LinkedIn Done For You services. So, you know, that's what I want to be known for. And a couple of other things to do is the featured item. So there's a featured item. If you don't have that, it's a key thing. I've got 2 things only on my featured items. One is to book on a 15-minute free call, a free Zoom call to talk about working together. The other one, which is my flagship product, which I use as a kind of door opener, is a 30-minute strategy session. So yes, I do LinkedIn Done For You services, but people probably aren't going to click to buy that. But I want people to either look at my content, look at my profile and either book a meeting with me, which is a one-to-one free call, or they want to sign up for a 30-minute session. On that session, of course, it's a strategy session. That's the main things that people look at. The other thing, which I'll talk about in a little bit, is newsletters, etc. There's lots of other things to look at. The other CV part, yes, some people are going to look at, but really, if you don't get them hooked in the first part by your what you do and your featured items, there's nowhere to go. So again, think of it as a landing page, drive content to your profile, and then for something to click. Because these days, everything's like Amazon. We click to book, click to buy, click to do anything. So if your LinkedIn profile has got nothing to click on it, people aren't going to do it. And I mean, I'm not going to click on this, but it'll take you through to a paid kind of way to book in a session. But again, that could be a link to your website or something. But again, if you're using it as a sales tool, try and have it so it's either book a meeting or book in maybe your smallest value product. People realistically aren't going to buy something. I had a call with a woman the other day. Her lowest value product was a £3,000 product. People probably aren't, let's say, not likely going to book a £3,000 product just from the back of senior posts. Realistically, you might want to have a maybe smaller offering to start with, or even just a free session, a free discovery call. So that's what I would call a kind of a standout profile. Let's see if I can get back now. Yes, I can. Thank you. So the first thing is profile is absolutely key. And again, a lot of people change it. You can update that tagline. Let's say, for example, next quarter, you're going to be having a specific product or service that you're going to be offering. You can have that in your tagline. Don't keep it static. It's a moving thing. And again, the next one is have a crystal clear message about what you do. What you should do should shine through on your LinkedIn profile, your LinkedIn banner, and your LinkedIn posts. So many people talk about so many different things week in, week out. It's so difficult to know what you do. And again, the algorithm views and everything else to some degree don't make a difference. If you keep posting to try and get LinkedIn views, you're probably not going to, it doesn't really matter. And to some degree, if you get 1,000 views every single week and 100 of those people are the right people, that's the biggest thing that matters. You don't need probably 1,000 people to buy your product, as much as we'd all like it. If you can get 20 of the right people who are the right target audience seeing your message and get it over a period of time. If you keep giving the same message in different ways, they're going to get what you do. And when they need your product, or when you make them want your products enough, they're going to come to you. And that's where the consistency comes in, which we'll talk about in a minute. Hopefully I'm not going too fast. And have a simple strategy. And apologies if there's any spelling mistakes, I put this together 2 minutes before I came online. Simple strategy. I mean, it could be a simple bit of paper. So what does your plan? What are you using LinkedIn for example? You know, a lot of people play around with it, but what's the point? You know, what are you using it for? Are you using it to get meetings? Are you using it to grow your connections? Have you got a plan of what you're doing? What are you looking to achieve from it? Have you got a simple goal? So for me, I try and get 5 meetings a week. Sometimes I get 20 meetings a week. But for me, if I get 5 good quality meetings a week, I'm happy, because that generally results for me in 1 sale a week. So I know that direction. And again, that's from my sales and marketing background. Do you have a flagship service as a door opener product, as I say? And that could be something cost effective that you can get somebody to hook into. If not, a free lead magnet, which you can get their email address to follow up on. How much time do you have to spend on LinkedIn? Because it's so easy to get caught up in a trap of spending hours and hours and hours. You've got to be posting on LinkedIn, creating content, engaging with other people, having conversations, having meetings, having networking. So think about the time you've got and how can you use that effectively. So having a simple strategy could look like something like, I'm going to post 2 times a week. I'm going to connect to 50 people or send 50 invites every week to my target audience. And again, know who your target audience is. What's the location? What's the job titles? What's the industry sectors? And the beautiful thing about LinkedIn, which is why all us business people love it, it's so easy in a couple of buttons to do a search on, let's say, managing directors in construction in London. I mean, for me, it's gold. If a client has a specific, target audience, it's so easy. And if you week in, week out connect to them, now I send 100 connections requests every single week. The connection acceptance rate for LinkedIn is much higher than any other platform in the world for social media. Typically is still 1 in 4, unless you're going for the CEO of BP or something like that. But if you're going for small businesses, senior directors, senior managers, typically you're going to get 1 in 4, 1 in 5 people accept your request. So over 5 years, if you build up a great database of your target audience, you're sitting on a pot of money. And if you're talking to them, the same people, about the right message that's interesting to them, it's all going to be relevant. So relevancy is key. Consistency is key. So connecting, which we'll talk about in a minute. Consistency. So consistency posting, again, so many people think, right, it's January, February, can't you believe we're in February, and we're going to post 3 times a week. But guess what? It's February, nearly the end, and they've only posted twice a week, or twice in the even last 6 weeks. Posting consistently is so important, because millions of people post on LinkedIn every single day. And if you want to get your brand and your products and services known, posting consistently every single week. And I would say, I post typically 5 times a week. I don't post more than that. I post 5 times a week because I don't have the time. And again, it's not just about posting, you've got to manage everything else. So, but I think if you're looking to generate new business, 3 times a week is a good time. If you've got a lot of other revenue streams and you're looking for LinkedIn just to keep topping up with leads, once or twice is enough. But if LinkedIn is a major platform for lead gen, 3 times at least. And I would say posting once a day. And for me, I post typically between 8 and 9 UK time, because most the people that I'm talking about get up in the morning, and we're all sad gets, we look at our phone. Used to be Facebook, but now it's LinkedIn. So depending on your time zone, morning or evening, it can be a really good time. But for me personally, morning works best. So again, think about whenever your community or wherever your connections are online, and when you post, only a percentage of those people will see it. And that's why engagement is key, which I'll talk about in a moment. But posting, and again, the algorithm so many things can matter. The biggest thing that's going to help the algorithm is posting useful information, posting tips and hints that are going to be helpful for people. So giving people a reason to want to follow you. If you just talk about me all the time, that's boring for everybody else. If you talk about, here's 3 ways I can help you, or here's 3 tools that are going to help you be more successful as a business owner, and every single week, if you give away even one little tip, it helps people want to follow you. So it'll help naturally grow your following, but also keep people wanting to hear from you. And another thing it does is really showcase your credibility. And credibility and trust, to me, are one of the biggest things that go from people following you to people clicking to buy or book from you. So again, it's easy enough to grow a following, but if you want people to click to book a meeting or click to buy, you need to get that credibility and trust across and be passionate about what you do. If you've been using LinkedIn for 20 years like I am, even I sometimes get a little bit thinking, right, what am I talking about? And have to think, right, this month, I'm going to get really excited about this topic and I'm going to talk about it 3 times a week in different ways. I might do, once there's going to be a top tip about how that this specific product or service can help people. The other one might be showcasing how I've helped somebody. There's no better way to get somebody to buy from you than do a bit of FOMO, get your customers to talk about it. Sometimes I'll just do a little screenshot. Somebody on WhatsApp sent me a message today saying, Maureen, you're amazing. You got me 20 meetings this week. That'll be a post next week. So any little quotes or lines or even comments people put in your post, screenshot it, that's a post, because there's nothing better than somebody else saying how good you are rather than you saying, look at me, my product's amazing. So any way possibly you can get someone to say that you're amazing, use that in a post and talk about it in a story. So it could be tips and hints, showcasing other people, but also talking about your journey, your backstory. Again, that's giving you credibility, talking about wins, successes, failures, what's happened to you along the way. And again, it helps you connect to like-minded people. And we all want to work with people that we like, really, because we've all worked with people we don't like, and there's nothing worse. So again, you want to grow that tribe that's the right people. That makes sense. Connecting. So 3 things I think are really key to, well, there's lots of things, but key thing for getting business: posting consistently. And I mean, week in, week out. I post 52 weeks of the year without a joke. And I have done for the last 6 years. Even when I'm on holiday, I'll schedule them. There's no excuse. LinkedIn's got an amazing scheduling tool, but posting consistently, and holiday time is a great time because more people are browsing. Consistently sending out these invites. And again, if you can't do it yourself, it's a service I offer. A lot of people use their VAs or their assistants or whatever, but sending 20 invites a day takes about half an hour. And again, if you're consistent in your target audience and your post is also talking to your target audience. So again, if you're targeting construction and your posts are specifically talking to people in construction, you're mentioning construction, you're using construction hashtags, and you're connecting to construction people, you're having conversations with construction people in your LinkedIn Messenger box, the algorithm knows that, and guess what? It starts showing your posts to construction people. So again, it's all connecting to these things. And the great thing about connections are, the wonderful thing about the algorithm, every time you connect to somebody, LinkedIn shows your content to them for at least 2 weeks. And if you have a conversation with them on Messenger, so if you can get them to reply, so typically my connection strategy is 1, send a non-salesy introduction, and I change that all the time. Right now, it might just be, hey, love your content, or love what you do, I'd love to connect. Simple as that, no big sales pitch. A couple of days later, I'll follow up with saying, thanks for connecting, Joe, or whatever your name is. I'll look forward to seeing your posts and I'll keep an eye out for them. End of. Now, depending on how I'm feeling, a couple of weeks later, I might send them a freebie. I might be, here's a free link to my latest guide on what's working on LinkedIn right now. Feel free to download it, or if you want to book in a call. So the third message is a little bit more salesy, but I probably don't do that for a couple of weeks later. And sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. I dip in and out of that because sometimes it works well and sometimes it doesn't. And it is a case of trial and error. But a free lead magnet, which I think is one of my other sites, is a good thing to have. Because again, it's not asking straight away for a meeting. It's just, and here's some free tips and hints. A lead magnet could just be a page. And for me, connecting to people every single week. A lot of my new customers are new connections, and they'll normally follow you for a couple of weeks, but straight away they keep seeing your content. And that's why if you're posting consistently and it's relevant to them, they're going to be like, hey, who is this girl? I keep seeing her content. And, you know, before you know it, you've got a one-to-one with them, and, you know, they've either signed up with you or they keep following you. And at some point down the line, you know, they could become a potential customer or a partner, collaborator, etc. Because it's not all about customers. And LinkedIn is a great place for doing collaborations, like me doing this today. I've got loads of business from just talking at these events, kind of thing. So works well. So it's not all just direct business. How am I doing for time, by the way? Am I okay? The other thing you need to do, so a lot of people, and you know, I've ran LinkedIn Breakfast Club, which is kind of like posting parties. Some people might be familiar. A lot of people just want to post. It's not just about posting and running. You got to post, you got to connect, and you've got to engage with other people. Ideally, other people who, number one, are your target audience. And that could just be 5 people a day, and also other people who are influential in your sector, because you want to get in with those people. You want to become a thought leader in that space. And again, that helps you get invited to events, helps you talk, but it helps you get seen, and they might start commenting in your posts, because LinkedIn's quite good like that. The more you comment on other people's posts, they might comment back. So it's a social media platform. People forget, post, engage with people, connect. A lot of people just think, I posted today, I've done my bit, but LinkedIn isn't working. Sadly, it's just not that easy, if only it was. And as a salesperson, ultimately, again, posting, connecting, even engaging is great, but unless you've got a sales follow-up process, so what's your process to get these people from post to liking, from commenting, from messaging me? Because most people that have ever messaged me on LinkedIn and have bought from me have never, ever liked and commented on a post. All of a sudden, they come from nowhere. Maureen, I want to have a meeting with you. The great thing is they know all about me. They know what I do. And it's normally a very quick sale, which is, again, another reason for keep posting. It can really shorten your sales cycle. But for me, it's what's your follow-up process? Have you got time to follow up? Because sadly, sales don't close themselves. Is it a case you're going to get them to sign up to a newsletter? Are you going to get them to download a lead magnet? Are you going to get a one-to-one with them? But, you know, what's that sales process? Because ideally for me, it's about using LinkedIn as a kind of brand awareness. It's a platform for really getting yourself known. But still, ideally, I want them to get into my newsletter offline so they can keep receiving my newsletters and I can keep selling to them. That makes sense. So think about what that follow-up process is, what your sales strategy is, which might be my next one. And it could be create an awesome LinkedIn lead magnet. So I think I've got one just now, which is a video on how to what's working right now on LinkedIn. And again, I change that every kind of 3 months. It could be a simple guide like this that you put in a PDF, and you've got a pop-up on your website, or you've got even a link on featured on your LinkedIn profile, which is basically download my free guide to how to get something from LinkedIn. That could be your lead magnet, but what you do is get their email address. Every 2 weeks, you could send them a non-salesy newsletter with some tips and hints. Again, at the bottom of that, you might have booking a one-to-one or a little bit of a sales pitch in it. But again, you're taking people from LinkedIn off LinkedIn, and you're building a database. As any small business, that's what you want to do. And I think I use that for Instagram as well. But a lead magnet is great. But again, it's got to be interesting. Some people do quizzes. There's lots of different things you can do. But, you know, it could be something quite simple. Something, you know, this could be easily downloaded as a PDF, and that could be a lead magnet. And who knows, it might be next month. So that's a great way to get people's email addresses. The other way is to create a LinkedIn landing page. So I use ConvertKit, which is basically, I've got a website, but I've also got a little landing page on ConvertKit, which is, you know, like there's MailChimp, loads of different other platforms out there. But I've got one simple landing page, which I use specifically for LinkedIn, so that I can divert people from my LinkedIn profile to my landing page. Because again, you might have 10 different products. It can get really confusing. Now, this isn't a must-have if your LinkedIn profile is very clear. But sometimes if you want to generate a very specific thing for the next 6 months, creating a LinkedIn landing page you know, and ConvertKit is free, for example, so it's a really good one to use. That's ConvertKit. You can create a very simple landing page which collects emails, and you can also use it to host your lead magnet. So again, that could be very simple. It could tell you a little bit about you. You could do a little download. So that could be something, again, just keeps it all contained in your sales process. And adapt your sales process for LinkedIn. This is my last one. So again, a lot of people think about, well, how do I get sales? They spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, but they don't think, how does my sales flow? And for me, LinkedIn is my door opener. It's a way for get people to know me. And that's people I've known for a long time. That's people to keep me in their mind. It's also a great platform for introducing new products and services, but also it's a way to get their email addresses. So it's not the final thing. I think a lot of people think LinkedIn, you can make sales from LinkedIn, but to me, it's the start of my sales funnel. It's sometimes the end, but quite often I get them from LinkedIn, then they go to my lead magnet, then they go to my email, then I'll have a one-to-one with them, or also I'll have an event like this. I host lots of events on LinkedIn, and as you will know, Sean, you can get your email addresses. And again, the more one-to-one time you can get either in a group or one-on-one, it's going to help make some sales. And pretty much, you know, the actual content itself is creating that excitement, but sticking to what you do. And again, I can certainly go on to talk about some posts, but that's pretty much my slides in terms of, you know, if anybody wants to book a one-to-one strategy, they can. I'm not going to do a sales pitch, but if anybody's got any specific questions about LinkedIn, I can go into LinkedIn and, you know, show them. That's pretty much it for me. So anybody want me to go over anything?
Has anybody got any questions at all? Please raise your virtual hand so you can come up in the screen, because we're sharing the screen. We'll come to the top.
I can take.
There's been some questions in the chat, Maureen. I don't know if you
can see them. Let's see.
If you can see those in the chat.
Right, let's go to.
Let me just go to the chat and I'll read.
Yeah, if you want to read them.
Yeah, I'll give them.
I'll keep it sharing just in case I have to.
Yeah, no problem. We'll just go back. Right, okay. Just want to sort of get to the ones that are relevant. Okay, let's have a quick look. So we've got a little bit of promotion. Oh, yeah, okay. Asking to connect, which is great. This is very useful, so I wish I could stay. So that was from Sindra, but he's had to pop off. I knew he was only going to be here for a little while, but at least we've recorded it. So if he does want to hear the remainder of it, he can come in there. And then that's cool.
I think Richard asked. Richard Holter asked, is that Vertex? I'm not sure what that's related to.
Richard asked about something about Vertex. Richard, do you want to unmute yourself, mate, and just ask that question?
I was just looking for the spelling that she was talking about.
ConvertKit.
Oh, ConvertKit. It's convert CONVERT. I'll put it. I can put a link in. I can email it to you afterwards, Sean. It's convert as in CONVERTKIT. They do a free model. They also, of course, do a paid model, but you can use the simple free one, and it's quite simple to use. It's kind of similar to MailChimp, etc., but it's quite good for if you want to just create a very simple landing page for a lead magnet. I mean, I did it in about 5 minutes, but I mean, I'm in marketing, but it's not that complicated. And quite a few people on LinkedIn use it as well.
Yeah, we just popped, which I don't know how the link, what the link is to actually get onto the site, but that's what it is there, ConvertKit.
Yeah, if you basically Google it, it'll come up.
Google it and it'll come up, mate. And there's, as Maureen says, there's a free way of getting obviously on there and utilising some of the key features. Has anybody else got any questions at all? Just looking down the list here. I know some of you are very sort of au fait with it. Gareth Wax is on the call. He's very au fait with LinkedIn, and obviously we also have others there as well. But listen, I've got a question for you, which is one of the questions I suppose I posed to you the other day. Now, obviously, back a few years back now, there was a lot of talk about not putting links in the main body of the main body of your message that you're putting out, and put it in the comments section. Is that still relevant?
Well,
Can
I
you
mean, in
put,
terms
can
of
you
what's
put
working
external
just now,
links?
I mean, ultimately, LinkedIn pay a lot of money to, I'll stop sharing. LinkedIn pay a lot of money to get people on the platform. So of course they want people to see the platform. But what I find is, so if, for example, you share a useful piece of information, let's say, for example, it could be a YouTube video from, let's say, Stephen Bartlett, or you share something from BBC, these kind of links do quite well. So again, if you share an interesting link to a website, not your own one, but you put your thought or you pose a question, these actually do quite well in terms of views. But again, does that mean it does well in terms of business? Different thing. But for views, for example, I shared a video the other day of Stephen Bartlett and I asked a question. Again, trying to share interesting content, but it did very well on views. And again, it's interesting, but is it going to work well for business? If you put a link to your website, it's going to do pretty crap, to be honest. LinkedIn isn't really interested in you sharing links to your website, etc. Even links in the comments are kind of frowned upon right now. I've never really bothered doing that, to be honest, but some people do it. I pretty much say now, if you want to, I mean, that's why I've got my featured items. Go to my profile and click a link there. So I personally wouldn't put a link to your website. It's going to slightly lower the views, but sometimes again, if you want somebody to buy, I put a sign up for a training session, click here to pay PayPal, and I've got 20 sales. So sometimes you might just want to use it if you really want to use it, but the views will be less. But if you do it every now and again, like once or twice a month, it's not the end of the world. And again, if it's a link to buy something, which there's no harm in doing now and again, you might get some sales.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for that. It's interesting because obviously, there's back in the, say a couple of years back, a lot of things were being talked about different ways to post, which we discussed the other day, didn't we? And the sort of there was sort of like the strength in the algorithm. If you put a PDF document up, it's with pictures on a carousel. That was a very strong way to obviously get the views up. And what I tended to do was in the title of those PDFs is where I put the link of my website in there, so it wasn't actually physically in the post, but it was still visible in the post. And that really worked well, and lots and lots of people obviously saw it. But with the tinkering that's going on in the background, obviously you were saying views are a little bit down generally anyway. So there was I was speaking to the wonderful Keith Grover the other day, who's also a it's like, wow, that'd be me. That's you, Keith. And he was saying there's a lot of things changing. One of the key things, and I don't know if you've heard this, one of the things that we've heard through conversations that we've had is that LinkedIn are likely to restrict the amount of notes that you can attach to when your outreach when you're doing a connection with somebody.
They already have been. They've been doing that for about 2 months now.
2 months, yeah, and it's down to about. Is it down to about 10 a month or something?
Yeah, Keith will tell you this, but it's. I think it's short-sighted of them, absolutely, but they are doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, what I've noticed for some of my clients I do connections for is, some of my clients I can send out 1,000 connection requests a month. Some of them I can only send about 20. So they're really restricting for some accounts. And I think I'm not quite sure what, I think it's how long you've had a LinkedIn account, how many people you can connect to. There is a way around that, and that's by not sending a personal note. So you can send as many as you want without sending a personal note, as Keith's probably known. But if you want to send a personal note, they'll limit you. But I've got some customers I work with, I can send 1,000 connection invites a month, but for others only 100. So it vary. Again, they restrict different people depending on how many years they've been on. But there is a way around it, which is not ideal. But if you are restricted, you can connect without sending a personal note, which I've done for some of my clients, especially to get above that 500 limit if they're new. And then you can always follow up. But they're constantly changing, but a lot of the things they do, they change back again. In terms of what's working right now, carousels don't seem to be working as well for sure. Videos are working slightly better. Photographs are working okay. But I think a lot more emphasis is put on to the context. So again, is it relevant? Is it topical? Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it about something that, you know, LinkedIn find is a great topic and they decide? We don't really know, to be honest. That's the thing, like bullying, or there's a few things they jump on the bandwagon, and then I think they give these things preference to. So again, good content's good content. A lot of people focus so much on, let's do a carousel, let's do a video. But if you're talking absolute poop on these things, to be honest, it doesn't matter. So I think, and that's why I think for a lot of people, rather than spending so much time thinking, I mean, I would say variety. So I try and do like a photograph, a video, and I do quite a lot of GIFs. So just visuals obviously work. So for me, and then I'm a visual person, try and do a variety of styles of post. But the biggest, most important thing is how good the content is itself. If it's rubbish, to be honest, that's going to be the biggest downfall. That's the problem. A lot of people spend so much time, and I know in my group every day, my views are down. How can I get the most views? I did a carousel. Well, your post was absolutely rubbish. So I mean, it was absolutely rubbish. That there was no content. It wasn't interesting. It was boring. So I mean, you got to think what's interesting, what's going to give value, what's topical, what's going to start a conversation, what's going to get engagement. These are all the things that will help get the most views, but also the most clicks and the most conversations. Because for me, I mean, probably a year ago, I could easily guarantee to get 100,000 views every single post. Definitely not getting that now, but I'm still getting the same amount of leads. And again, how relevant are the views? We don't know. It's a technical platform. I'm still getting the same amount of leads as it was last year, roughly. So, you know, it's just keep getting valuable content, or what you redeem you as valuable to your connection target audience. That's what I would say. That's the biggest thing. And a lot of people get so caught up in everything else, they forget about that and spend hours trying to work it out. And I'm like, why? Just try and promote, do some good marketing, and you'll get some good potential leads. Because again, most people don't need 25 leads a week. You know, they don't need them. You know, if you can get 5 good leads a week, amazing. Even 1 good lead a week if your product's worth 100,000, or even 1 good lead a month. So I think, anyway, I've talked enough, but that's what I think.
I would 100% endorse that, and I would agree with you, Maureen, that the idea of the object of the whole thing is get them off LinkedIn and into your own CRM, whatever that might be, ConvertKit, Google Forms, I know Gareth uses, whatever you're using, get them off LinkedIn, because, you know, LinkedIn's going to start restricting things and trying to charge us for stuff. So migrate them off and download your connection.
Am I allowed to mention that the only way around the restriction is really Navcore? If you get Navigator core version, that will get you off it. And there are ways of getting that at cheaper than LinkedIn's prices. But,
Yeah.
you know,
well, Gareth actually, without wishing to endorse Gareth, he actually does offer quite a good deal in that he is an affiliate for Sales Navigator, but he actually hands his commission back to the people.
Yeah, I set it at cost because I can't help people unless they're on Navigator, so I need them to have it. So
it's in your interest to do that. But yeah, that's quite a good way to buy Navigator, is from somebody like Gareth, who generously gives his commission back to you. But even so, I definitely would recommend you download your connections, and Maureen will back me up on this one.
Oh my God, yes, absolutely.
Just go to Google, type download LinkedIn connections, and it will talk you through it, a way of doing it, because those connections have taken you sometimes, in our cases, over 10 years to build up. And if you lose your account because somebody hacks in and LinkedIn takes it away with no fault of your own, you'd lose all those connections you spent years building up. So
it did happen to me 3 years ago, and I lost them all. So I've started from scratch 3 years ago.
Oh dear. And also, I mean, they are just restricting people's accounts because people, I don't know, people are complaining that they are basically restricting accounts for no reason as well. So I think it is worth doing. I back mine up every month. So, and also, of course, there's loads of tools out there you can scrape their email addresses off, etc. But a lot of people's email addresses isn't at work, but lots of things you can do. But I think ultimately, you know, yeah, I think good content is good content. I think that's the key thing. I think if you want to focus on some core values that you're going to give out and get people get known for that, that's going to help you, you know, become a brand and want people to want to work with you. You know, and
that's what the platform's for, Maureen. I agree. The platform is for displaying your expertise, sharing your content, and that's really what you can do on LinkedIn very well. But you've got to be on it
Absolutely. And I think video is a great way if you're passionate about what you do. I mean, for years, I didn't want to go on video, but when I did, video is the biggest thing for converting, I feel, because if you're passionate about what you're doing, your knowledge, you can't really get that across in a picture or text. Well, you can, but if you then back that up and do a video once a week, which I try and do, even like a short 90-second video with a top tip, it really helps people think, I want to speak to that person, and click to book a meeting. So, you know, even it doesn't need to be an amazing professional video. You know, a little video on your mobile phone talking about something can really help convert to a meeting or a customer.
Yeah, and it's much better verification of that you're a human, genuine being than a little grey tick in a shield box, frankly.
Exactly. And there's a lot of bots out there these days, let's face it. There's so many.
I'm sorry, mate. I've done it. I have done it. I have done it.
Have you verified yourself?
Yeah, I'm sorry I did it.
Good, good. We like to know that you're human, Gareth, because we've had our doubts.
I'm barely human, but it wasn't. It's because I've built a huge client base in the States, and they seem to hold big stuff. They want to see that I'm who I say I am. That's all.
Got you. Yeah.
But I'm not sure it matters so much over in the UK or in Europe.
Not yet. Not till the majority of people have got it. I think it's like a secure socket layer on your website. Until everybody got one, it wasn't such a big deal. But when everybody in the UK's got a tick,
and
we're all going to have ticks.
Big thing.
I could go down the vet and get something for that, but we're going to have ticks, I'm afraid.
That's great. Has anybody else got any other questions?
Unfortunately, it's a lot.
Steffi, call yourself STEPHI. They won't verify it because she spells her name with 2 F's. Yeah.
Yeah. Drew, you was going to say something there, mate? Sorry. I came in over the top of you, mate. I didn't mean to.
I'll mute.
Yes, as some of you know, my previous account got locked out because of that verify thing, because it didn't like my passport.
Right.
I can't do anything about illegal documents, sorry, but you know, so I have to set up a whole new portfolio, as some of you know.
Yeah. Well, if you put a video on, people can see you're a real human being, and that is a great way to do it. It's you know, it's genuine, and you can see it, and you can put a message across in it as well, which is much better than the tick in a box.
Can I say one thing? I'm still a big advocate for scraping out the subtitles and putting them in a STL file separately, because that then goes to SEO load. Whereas you can't, if you just burn in subtitles, which most people do, unless you repeat all that content within the descriptor. You know what I'm saying, Maureen?
Absolutely. And I must say,
very techy.
It's something I don't do, but normally I do repeat part of the message in. But I mean, a lot of people have told me to do that in video, and
it doesn't matter if you've got it the way you've done it. That's good enough, as long as they can search for it and the post comes up. That's the thing.
Yeah, makes sense.
Brilliant. Malcolm was saying that he had 2,000 people. He sent connection requests of 350, and they went, no, we're not. They basically restricted his account completely, so he had to redo his account as well.
Yeah, you've got to be careful. I mean, I wouldn't say
spamming, I suppose, isn't it?
I mean, spamming's a big thing they don't like. I mean, I wouldn't send any more than 20, 30, 40 messages. I mean, it used to be a lot easier, but again, you don't want to. I mean, if you don't want to keep messaging the same people over and over again. I think 20 or 30 messages a day is plenty, to be honest.
The problem will be, Malcolm, not because you sent out all those messages, but because a large number of those people reported they didn't know you. That was where the problem was.
They were all connections. Every one of them was a connection. They'd already connected.
They didn't know you, otherwise they wouldn't have done it.
But they might have hit spam, because I mean, they might have hit spam. If people report you, then if a couple of people click spam, which they do, people do like to click spam, which means flags you up as a spammer.
I'd rather have corned beef myself. I think comes in similar to
now you're talking. I love a bit of corned beef.
Corned beef and pickle sandwiches.
Say no more.
That's what I had for my lunch, guys. That's what I had for my lunch.
We digress.
Yeah, we digress. Anyway,
I have to go, I'm afraid.
I'm starving now.
Now you're talking.
Before we go into breakout rooms again.
As long as we're not talking about corned beef, I'm all right with
No, that's fine. Right, okay. Can I have a huge round of applause, please, for Maureen Kane? What a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much, Maureen. Absolutely brilliant.
Good job, Maureen.
And I am now going to stop the recording. And